Welcome to Authentik Podcast number 5. I'm Scott Austin, CEO of Authentik Artists, joined by Bob Bradley, and we have been way behind the ball here on recording new podcasts because what happened to me, Bob?
You got sick as a dog.
Well, yes, I did.
Just a little bit.
I got a lot sick. I had a very bad case of bronchitis through the holidays, but that's okay. I came back stronger than ever, and now we're ready to talk about some great information.
Yeah, does anybody listen to podcasts during the holidays anyways?
I don't know. They probably do while they're Christmas shopping.
Maybe.
I'm sorry, holiday shopping. What are we going to talk about today, Bob?
I think we're going to talk about 2010, just kind of what we're expecting and how things are going in the music industry.
Let's talk about 2010. I think a lot's going to happen this year that's going to be very beneficial to the independent artist community. Obviously, we're part of that. Even though we are a company that supports music, we are independent ourselves, and we are looking to new ways to monetize content. One of the ways that seems to be the topic of the day or the year is streaming.
Absolutely. I don't know if anybody out there reads Mashable and some of these cool tech blogs out there, but yesterday they actually posted about Spotify, which is, I think, a lot of people's most exciting streaming service that's coming up here, at least in the States. It's available in Europe right now, and it's making huge waves. But I think that website, that service, that application is going to make a huge impact for a lot of people that listen to music. It's giving people the ability to listen to their music, to listen to their music that they choose anywhere they want.
And I guess, one would say, well, what's really different between that and Napster or Rhapsody, right? I mean, what is different? Actually, do I know? I don't even know if I know.
I've actually given Rhapsody a good shot. They have an application for the iPhone, iPod Touch. Really intuitive, easy to use, but it just didn't catch on. There was something that wasn't right, whether it was the timing, the functionality, the stigma that Rhapsody has from, back in the day. But people like new things, and this thing with Spotify seems to really resonate with people. And, things are getting better with Lala being acquired by iTunes and Apple. Who knows what's going to happen with that, but I'm anxious to have access and a clear hard drive in the near future and the same quality of music that others, would only have to use an MP3 or CD player for.
I was playing a little bit dumb. I actually do know the difference between Spotify and some of the other services. I think the main thing that I understand is the interface, even though it's, only available in Europe. Obviously, they've been working on how to launch this thing in the U.S. market for a while. There's a lot of things that go along with that, like license agreements and, just those fine details. But I think the interface is supposed to be a lot like iTunes, which is what is drawing people to it, the way that you can manage your playlists and the songs you listen to and all that kind of stuff. Very interesting. I definitely think that there's a lot to come with this whole thing, and I think that we're going to see a very different music industry by the end of 2010.
Yeah, the comparison to iTunes is spot on. It's really easy to use, and hopefully it will be easy to use. And another one that we've been using lately is, as you mentioned, Grooveshark, which is, it's so simple. You just go on the website, you type in what you want to listen to, your playlist develops, and you can arrange it from there. Whether you're listening to Jimmy Eat World, the Eagles, anything and everything is mostly, on that site. So it's kind of fun to be able to just take a few minutes and listen to a variety of music without going through your CD wallet or going through a long iTunes playlist. This is very, type and get what you want kind of technology.
I think that the trick is, more importantly, I guess, for this conversation, how do emerging artists get themselves, noticed using these new mediums? I think one of the reasons why we like the concept of the Grooveshark platform and the iLike platform is because it suggests alternative, maybe up-and-coming emerging bands you've never even heard of. Obviously, some of that stuff is paid promotion, and some of it's editorially chosen, or some of it's, who knows what the different fundamental metrics are that they use to pick which bands are placed where. But it's kind of like this whole Pandora thing, right? It's like suggesting artists that you might like, and I think that's something that, emerging artists need to really focus on. I don't know that we're going to sit here and give a play-by-play of how to do that, because I don't think there is a play-by-play. I think it's different for each artist, but I think it's something that artists should really be thinking about as part of their overall strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And on our end, when we upload our music to Last.fm, you can actually upload, say, one of our artists until June, and once you have it in the system, you can compare it to other artists that are in the same genre and measure it by, kind of alike or totally alike, whether it's U2, Coldplay, The Fray, Animal Collective, and that helps people when they're searching for Animal Collective. It increases the likelihood that until June or someone like them will come up as a suggested artist, and then they can discover them that way. Just in the same way that if you're on iTunes and you look for Jimmy Eat World, you'll look in a certain part of the page and it'll have users also bought. And I personally have found some new bands that I really enjoy through that.
If this thing really is going towards this streaming, cloud-based, however it really ends up sorting out is I don't know that it's incredibly important to which way it goes, other than it's important for all of us to focus our efforts on basically every target, not just focus on how do we increase our iTunes awareness. That's a huge, huge part of what we do. We have an amazing relationship with iTunes. I think iTunes is always going to be relevant, and I think that their acquisition of Lala, as you mentioned, is probably an indication of where they're going with the whole thing. Apple's always on the cusp of these technologies, and I think they're probably not going to get unseated by one of these startups anytime soon. But I do think that it's interesting that every single day, it seems like where we used to be talking about MP3 downloads solving the problem of the music industry, it seems like now people are starting to think, maybe it is streaming and maybe it is cloud-based.
Yeah, for the user, they, as we said earlier, they want access. They don't care how it is. It's whatever is easiest and matches the technology of the time. With the iPhone, you could download music anywhere you're at. If you're on the freeway, you can access your iTunes through the 3G network. If you're at home, you could be on your computer. You want to make it all sync into one accessible kind of system, the cloud-based network. And a point I wanted to make really is, as an artist and even as a label, there's differences here. There's the way that you get your music. There's the way that you transport your music, whether it's an MP3 player or over the internet, on your computer, even on your TV. Some of these, the Xbox units has Last.fm on there, so you can stream your music, which is the same exact catalog that you would access if you're on your computer. Same way that you would use Netflix, which is really, really trendy right now, and I personally love. So it's I almost compare it to how the trend is going with movies. It was almost separate. The problems that the movie industry was having compared to music was so different. People were having a hard time downloading pirated movies because the files are so big. So the movie industry is making tons of money, where the music industry is failing because it's so easy to download a small file. And with streaming, I think that the problem could be augmented a little bit because there is royalties paid off of streaming music. So that makes a label want to provide their content to a streaming service and fix the problem of obviously physical CDs that don't really sell anymore anyways.
I think the movie business is actually why we're seeing this massive shift. I mean, really, they have a hell of a lot more to lose than music industry does. I mean, you spend, even if you spend a couple $1 million between marketing, promotion, recording a record, which is an obscene amount of money in today's economy, it doesn't even pale into comparison to the $250 million budgets of some of these big Hollywood blockbusters. So you got to imagine Hollywood filmmakers and movie studios are going to be really at the forefront of trying to force this shift. And I think Netflix Online and all these things, we really could take a lot of lessons from where the film business is going, because clearly they're actually not that different at all, are they? It's really just ones and zeros and bits of information that are being transferred. And now it's come to a point where we need to decide, do you feel that it's necessary? Maybe this is a good question to ask the folks listening to this podcast. Do you really believe that you own something tangible when you buy an MP3 versus streaming it online? I think that there's a large group of people, I probably put myself in this category, that's a little bit old school, that wants to own an MP3 outright. I think that if I could stream it through a wireless network, that might be okay if I knew that I always had access to it, but you're still going to run into problems, whether it's on an airplane or where you don't have service or whatever it is. So it's going to be very interesting. I think that these new generation cell phones are certainly going to change things as well. I'm assuming the new iPhone or an iSlate or whatever the hell the iTablet thing is, that thing's going to have some crazy technology built into it that is going to be very supportive of music and I think entertainment in general.
Yeah, I think the problem I personally had with MP3s and streaming at first was the quality. You pop in a CD, it sounds killer. And when you download an MP3 or you stream it, it doesn't sound as good. So as networks get better, as 4G hopefully comes out soon, you can stream a higher quality file quickly and give the listener the experience that they deserve without, waiting a few minutes to load something on Pandora on your phone. It can stream instantly like it would on a computer. So with the streaming services, as the speed gets faster, I think the consumers, especially the newer generation who is used to purchasing music off iTunes, will be willing to fork over some money, whether it's subscription-based services like Rhapsody and the premium-based Spotify once it hits America, and they'll want to spend that money. They'll want high-quality music that sounds good. I think they've been reluctant because it's new and it's unfamiliar, but as it becomes more mainstream, the artist, to wrap things up, will want to embrace these services because they can actually make some money off of it. They can get a fraction of a penny, but it all adds up instead of getting nothing, having their music being downloaded illegally off of these torrents.
I think that what we've seen is there's definitely a feeling out there, no matter how much anyone wants to deny it, that music should be free. And I think the only way to make that possible is to do exactly what you said. It's a combination of advertising supported models and this kind of paid for service, whether it's, I still believe, I've said this for a long time now, that I think that it comes down to tacking $2.99, $3.99 on everyone's cable bill, everyone's cell bill, whatever it is. It's not a meaningful amount of money, I don't think, to most people. And if you're giving them unlimited access to something, they're not spending $50 a month on iTunes or whatever it is on records. You can have unlimited access to this music, whether it's through Lala, through Apple's new, endeavor, or whoever it ends up being. But those few bucks by hundreds and thousands of consumers can really help put the ball back in the court of the musician who wants to monetize their art, which they've been unable to do for the past few years. Authentik Podcast number 5, we are back. I am healthy, or as healthy as I'm ever going to be. We will get to Authentik Podcast number 6 shortly. We still have to bring Ryan Hudson in to give us his resident expert opinions on new cool gear. He is a senior manager at Guitar Center, the busiest one in LA, and we definitely need to get him in here to talk about all the new gear coming out. NAMM is going to be this week, I believe. Bob, you're going to be at NAMM, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm going to be there Saturday and Sunday.
Once again, Authentik Podcast number 5 signing off. And one last note, if you're an independent artist listening to this podcast, you like what we have to say, go to AuthentikArtist.com. Check out our site. Check out what our company does. If you have a record that you've just finished or you're just putting the finishing touches on that you're looking for a home for, give us a shout.